welcome and good morning. You tune into Market Cafe. It's the start of a fresh week and this is the show where we get you all the global cues you need to watch out for before the start of D Street today, especially how the Wall Street fare and how the US-Iran war is really shaping up the world economy. Well, the latest one is that Trump has issued a 48-hour warning to Iran that if the Strait of Hormuz is not opened up, then he will attack the key, power plants in Iran. And on the back of that, we did see all the global markets take a hit. In fact, Wall Street was trading down with cuts of 443 points, almost a percent downtick coming in. S&P 500 was also trading down 100 points, 1.5% of a downtick coming in on S&P. And we also have NASDAQ that was trading down 2% on the back of that. Now, the street has, it is as if now trying to snap those lows, because if you look at the futures are little changed. Actually, they're trading very, very flat right now. It's around the flat line. S&P 500 has shed 0.1%. NASDAQ has also pulled back 0.2%. But this war is, this conflict has triggered a downturn in the global markets, and US markets, as I mentioned, saw a downtick of almost 2% coming in. But it's the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi who said that Strait of Hormuz is not closed. In fact, the ships are hesitating from entering the strait because of the ongoing war, and the insurers are scared of entering those waters. And on the back of that, we do see a bit of a disruption and supply concerns that are looming large as far as the world markets are concerned. But let's talk about the commodities. And Shrishti, tell us what about the oil and gold prices and how they have shaped up. Well, let's take a look at that also. As far as oil is concerned, Brent crude is trading right now. It's trading with cuts of 0.1%. Oil did stabilize though, as investors are still weighing in on the US and Iran war that's going on and the sanctions. But as of now, Brent crude has stabilized at $111.99 a barrel, and WTI is trading right now with gains of 0.3%, and 98.58 is where crude oil is sitting at. Let's talk about gold. Gold is also continues to trade down with cuts of 4% at $4,441 per ounce, and silver is also trading down 3.4% at $67.3 an ounce. Now remember, it is on the back of a stronger dollar and also dashing off the rate cut hopes by Federal Reserve on the back of inflation that oil prices would have caused, and on the back of that, commodity prices have cooled off. In fact, gold and silver have both cooled off on the back of lesser expectations of Federal Reserve's rate cut and a stronger dollar. So that's how the commodities are at.
All right, so a lot of action really happening across the globe with respect to the global markets, as well as what's been happening on the commodity side. But moving on to another news flow, and Iran has warned that it will target energy and water infrastructure across Gulf countries if the United States attack its power grids, following a 48-hour ultimatum from Donald Trump. And Tehran has also threatened to completely shut the Strait of Hormuz, though it says that the passage remains open to the ships not linked to its adversity. Now the escalations comes as missiles exchanged between Iran and Israel intensify, with fresh strikes triggering air raid sirens and injuries in multiple Israeli cities. Meanwhile, Gulf nations including the UAE and Kuwait and Bahrain have reported drone and missiles interceptions as the conflict enters its fourth week. More than 4,000 people have been killed across the wider West Asia region, according to government and non-government agencies, with more than three-quarters of the fatalities that happened in Iran. All right, but moving on, let's also go across to Times Network Mayank for the latest update from Israel.
Times now has entered inside the premises of Arad, wherein the missile had struck, and it is said to be a ballistic missile, which has created not only the crater here in front of you, and it has created a devastation all around. Most of the buildings, they have the blast shook the entire premises here, and most of the buildings you see, they have lost larger parts of their walls and all. And it is being said that it is ingress to the air defense, which is multi-layered air defense of the Israel here. And this is after Dimona was the other side wherein the bigger crater was created, and we showed you to you live in the morning. And this is creating a problem in the terms of air defenses because Iran has been able to ingress at multiple points and 7 at least, that was told to us yesterday. And you can see the devastation, the signs of devastation. And in this case, the earlier crater which was in Dimona, which was around 4 feet, but here it seems to be a deeper crater with a deep ingress into the ground, and the waves and shock has pulverized the buildings all around. And this is Arad, we can see.
In Times Network's Mayank also caught up with the IDF spokesperson. Let's listen into what he had to say.
Well, we're standing here where a ballistic missile had a direct hit. We're in a civilian population in southern Israel, where last night an Iranian ballistic missile was fired. The Iranians have fired over 400 of these ballistic missiles, most of them directed towards civilian population, towards civilian areas like this. We've had many dozens injured, almost 100 people injured just in this location. You can see the damage. You can see buildings. We're going to have thousands of people that have nowhere to live because of this strike. We've had almost 100 people who were injured because of this strike. And this is the Iranian regime. This is who we're fighting, and this is why we have to make sure they can't obtain the ability to do this again.
And there had been talk of that multi-layered air defense of the Israel, which had been, as quoted, successful. But we are finding that lots of ingresses are taking place, which includes Dimona, Arad.
Well, we've had a lot of success. They've fired an enormous amount of missiles. We've been able to intercept more than 90% of it. But even the best aerial defense system in the world is not perfect. And we're going to do everything we can to learn what went wrong here and how we can improve.
Depletion of missile capability of Iran has been talked about. How far have you reached in that? Because they are able to still continue with fire.
Well, we've been able to diminish, to neutralize over 70% of their missiles, 70% of their missile launchers, and we're going to keep pushing to get even more than that.
And they introduce a longer-range ballistic missile now?
We saw yesterday the Iranians use a missile that can reach a distance of 4,000 kilometers. And after they specifically said that they only have weapons up to 2,000 kilometers, the Iranian regime has been lying to the world and is a threat to the entire region.
And how far have you reached in your goal, keeping which in mind you started?
Well, we've had a lot of advancement. We've had great achievements, even in some cases faster than we expected. But there's still a ways to go, and we're going to push forward.
All right, and moving on, and Trump says that he's not interested in a ceasefire with Iran, even as he signals the possibility of winding down military operations. And speaking to reporters, Trump said that the U.S. is very close to meeting its objectives while maintaining that now is not the time for a ceasefire. Trump has called on other nations, including NATO allies, China and Japan, to take responsibilities for securing the strait, downplaying its direct importance to the U.S.
And UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has called an emergency meeting to assess the economic fallout from the escalating Iran conflict, with the Finance Minister and Bank of England governor set to attend. In the UK, inflation could climb back towards 5% if the energy prices remain elevated. Meanwhile, Pakistan has restricted large sporting events to conserve fuel, while Sri Lanka has hiked the fuel prices sharply for the second time in a week back home. Migrant workers from Surat are returning home after days without cooking gas and the LPG crisis.
And India is beginning to see relief on the energy supply front amid the conflict. An LPG carrier, Pax's Pioneer, has arrived at New Mangalore port carrying over 16,000 tons of cooking gas, with more shipments lined up over the coming days. A Russian crude vessel, Aqua Titan, has been rerouted to India after changing course mid-journey from China, one of the several such diversions in recent days. In total, over 70,000 tons of LPG is expected to arrive in Mangalore route this week, offering support amid signs of domestic supply crunch. Neha joins in with a ground report on this. Neha.
Just off the coast of Mangalore, we're here at the SPM, or the single mooring point of the MRPL, where Russian vessel Aqua Titan, in fact, has made its way here to the port. What, of course, you'd be able to see is it's not just about the crude oil that's being brought in right now from Russia at, of course, nominal prices, but the fact that this is a massive diplomatic win now for the country. Remember this vessel that you see that's carrying crude oil that would, of course, be transported from the MRPL's pipeline further to the facility and in turn, of course, to the country, is something that now, of course, goes on to mark the kind of significance that this has. Largely, while, of course, this particular tanker here in concern that we're looking at was on its way to China. Remember, it was, in fact, diverted and now brought towards the Mangalore coast. What we also, of course, gather at this point in time is that vessels of the NMPT, of course, that have been brought in here, that are acting as the tug vessels now, in turn, would be ensuring that this entire operation is completed. And largely, of course, given the West Asian crisis at this point, this becomes even more significant as this would help to stabilize prices across the country, largely fuel prices. More importantly, this is, of course, while one of the vessels that has come in from Russia, we're also gathering that there are likely to be more vessels that are coming in. Times Now, of course, has been on ground from the start, and we would continue to bring you the latest as we've come this up close to this vessel. We continue to bring you the latest on what, of course, this vessel would essentially mean, largely diplomatically, of course, and more importantly, to bring down the fuel prices at a time when most countries still are struggling to be able to manage how to figure out and what essentially they would do during the West Asian crisis that's been impacting all.
And well, moving on then, K-pop supergroup BTS has made a high-profile comeback, performing their first concert in over 3 years at Seoul's Gwangwon Square. And the authorities sealed off the central parts of the city for the event, deploying over 8,000 personnel amid the crowded safety concerns. While turnout was lower than expected, the concert marked the group's return after military service, alongside a new album that sold nearly 4 million copies on day one. The show was streamed globally across 190 countries under BTS's continued global reach.
All right, but for this, viewers, it's time now to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the other side.
Welcome back. You tune into Market Cafe. We're getting you all the global cues you need to watch out for before the start of D Street. Now, let's take a look at the Asian markets. And Asian markets are no different. They're taking a cue from the Wall Street, and that's of the conflict that's ongoing and on the back of the threats that Trump has issued. We do see cuts coming across the Asian markets as well. In fact, look at Nikkei, look at South Korea's Kospi. Both of them have tumbled more than 5% in the trading session. As Nikkei has though recovered, is now trading down with cuts of 3.4%, and Hang Seng is also trading down 2.6%. Shanghai is trading with cuts of more than 1.5%. S&P ASX 200 is also trading with cuts of 0.8%. But sharp knock, sharp plunge is what we are seeing across board. In fact, the implied start to Nifty is also indicating a gap down start of almost 300 odd points. So it's going to be a sea of red today, yet again, on the back of the US-Iran conflict.
Seems like so, Ankita. Let's watch out for that. But a lot of these stocks will be in focus on the back of the news flow. So firstly, let me take it across to my colleague Karan, who's standing by with a list of stocks in focus today. Good morning, Karan. Take it away.
Well, absolutely. Let me start off with Tata Motors passenger vehicles. The company is set to increase the price of its internal combustion engine passenger vehicles with effect from 1st of April 2026. The weighted average price increase will be 0.5% across the ICE portfolio. Now diving deep into the ICE portfolio, the prices for these models range from normally around 4.5 lakhs to 23 lakhs. So do watch out for Tata Motors passenger vehicles. Followed by Thomas Cook, the company is reorganizing its business structure, and this includes the demerger of its resorts and resort management business into Sterling Holiday Resorts. On that note, the managing director has committed that this will unlock tremendous value for the shareholders by streamlining the capital structure, and this will also result in improvement of the earnings per share. Wipro will also be in focus with the launch of AI data center solution to accelerate enterprise scale AI adoption. Now, this is built in integration with NVIDIA's AI enterprise within Wipro Intelligence to deliver a unified array of AI-enabled solutions. Next is Union Bank of India, with the company raising 3,000 crores. Now, this fundraising plan also included a green shoe option of around 4,500 crores. This fundraising via long-term bonds was for financing of infrastructure and affordable housing. An important point to be noted here is that the issue was oversubscribed 3.12 times, with the bank receiving total bids amounting to 9,300 crores. Followed by rights, the company has received an order worth 105 crores from a domestic entity for 60 months. On that note, the company's order book stands north of 9,000 crores. Next we have is Seagull India, the company emerging as the lowest bidder for an NHAI project worth 600 crores. And on that note, the company's order book stands north of 14,000 crores. And finally, we have the MFI stocks in focus after the CGS MFI 2.0 launch. Compared to the earlier 2021 scheme, this scheme has a larger corpus of 20,000 crores. Now, this scheme aims to facilitate credit flow of up to 20,000 crores and will cover on lending to eligible small borrowers, both new and existing. So that's all from my end. Over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Karan, for joining us with all the stocks in focus. But Meryl, you also have a list of stocks that are going to be watched out for in today's trading session. Take us through those.
Yes, coming to you with another list of stocks that are going to be in focus today. Starting with the defense space, we've got DCX System. The company has received a large order worth around 563 crores. And this is for the supply of maritime patrol radar systems, which is going to strengthen the company's order book as well as its upcoming revenues visibility. Moving on to capital allocation, the board of Forgings will be considering a fundraising in its upcoming board meeting, that is on the 25th of March. But also in news today is Kirloskar Ferrous Industries. The company has resumed operation at one of its 2 high-pressure molding lines at its Solapur plant, which were earlier disrupted by the LPG supply concerns. Now, this line is to be using alternate fuel and has resumed operations. In the pharma space, we've got Alchem Labs. The company has received EU's Good Manufacturing Practices certification for its Daman facility, which is a positive towards the company's export business. In the auto space, Ashok Leyland has approved an investment of around 30 million pounds, or that is about 375 crores rupees, in its UK subsidiary, which is Optare, indicating continued focus in the company's international EV business. In the QSR segment, Devyani International has approved a 347 crore investment in a Thailand-based operator of around 247 KFC restaurants, supporting the company's balance sheet as well as its long-term expansion. And finally, Europe Pratik sales will be in focus today after the company's 62% of its equity share capital comes out of a lock-in. So yes, that was a quick list of stocks that are going to be in focus today. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Meryl, for getting us this list of stocks. But let's move on and focus on the India's pharmaceutical sector that is entering a new phase in diabetes and obesity care, with several companies launching their versions of semaglutide following the patent expiry. Now, firms including Dr. Reddy's lab, Natco Pharma are amongst the early movers, with more domestic players expected to join the market. Meryl is joining us yet again with the pricing comparison so far.
Well, yes, semaglutide's patent has officially expired in India. Let's take a look at some of the key weight loss drugs that have entered the market so far. Starting with the ones priced the lowest, we've got Natco Pharma, Eris Life Sciences and Glenmark Pharma. Now, Natco and Eris have partnered up together, launching Natco's manufactured drug under separate brand names, both priced starting around rupees 1,290 per month. Glenmark as well is going to be launching its drug starting at rupees 1,300 per month. And these are all in a vial format, which is why they're able to sell for so cheap. Clearly, they're positioning themselves as cost-effective options. But these brands are also looking to announce a pen device version, looking to capture the higher end of the market as well. And this is going to be coming later around April. But coming to the pen device drugs, we see a range of prices here as well. Positioned more affordably in this segment are Alchem Labs, starting at rupees 1,800 per month, and also Zydus Life Sciences. The company is going to be leveraging its novel, reusable, multi-dosage pen device, starting at around 2,200 per month. Now, on the higher end of the spectrum of weight loss drugs lies Sun Pharma and Dr. Reddy's, both employing more of a premium pricing strategy. Dr. Reddy's launching at around 4,200. Sun Pharma's prices is ranging around 3,600 to 8,000 rupees. And lastly on our list is Torrent Pharma. They are priced starting at rupees 4,000. But what's interesting is that they're also going to be launching an oral formulation. So yes, this is quite an interesting space to watch with new brands entering day by day.
All right, let's move on then from that story. Thank you, Meryl. Sebi is set to hold a key board meeting on the 23rd of March. Top on the agenda is going to be a proposal that could make life easier for foreign investors. The regulator is likely to consider allowing foreign portfolio investors or the FPIs to net off the same-day cash trades. My colleague Ankur Mishra is joining us on more of this story. Let's take a look at that.
Yes, Sebi board may consider netting of funds for FPIs in cash markets, and sources have informed us that this proposal may finally be approved today. What is the issue till now? FPIs have been requesting that there should be netting of funds in the cash market. The problem is that suppose an FPI buy a scrip A and sell a scrip B, they have to provide both the amounts in the stock market, and the amount is blocked. The money which is coming back by selling the scrip B is not into consideration. So now what will happen if you are buying and selling a scrip, different scripts, you will have to provide only the net amount, and that will be considered by the Sebi board. Apart from that, there are also proposals for InvITs and REITs, which are there for fundraising as well as operational norms, and that may be considered by Sebi board as well. There's also a proposal which is therefore to fit in proper norms for market intermediaries. Now that is something which may also be considered by Sebi board, and to streamline eligibility and compliance requirement for intermediaries. Now we also understand that there is also a proposal for transmission of securities to legal heirs, whereby the simplification will be done. And now this includes higher threshold and simplified documentation in transmission cases. And for mutual funds as well, there are few operational norms which may be eased in the Sebi board, which is set to meet today. So all in all, we understand that the netting of funds in cash markets for FPIs may be allowed, and apart from that, few of the norms for InvITs as well as mutual funds may be approved by the Sebi board.
Right, we'll bring you more on that story. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Market Cafe. I'll take your leave. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't go anywhere, because the market is going to take the market action forward.